and welcome to another episode of Tea with Mother and Me. I'm Ellie.
I'm Morag.
And we're your hosts for today. So I'm very excited. We've got lots and lots to talk about. I think this kind of doing it once a month kind of works. We kind of build up stuff. I feel like we've got lots to talk about. So I will just jump straight in. And the first thing I have to talk about, so last time, thank you so much for all of your comments and suggestions about how we do the video. We got feedback letting us know that they really liked the kind of us talking and the photo of the object, so that really works. So we're going to continue doing that. We've had a suggestion to make the picture big and us smaller in the corner, so that you can see both of us talking at the same time instead of covering one of us. So we're going to try that out. But we've still brought the objects in this time because it makes it easier for us to describe to each other and know for each other what we're talking about. So first we've got finished objects, and the first thing I actually don't have with me, it's actually the socks for my father-in-law. And so I don't have them because they got sent off to South Africa and he received them, but I have something better. I have a picture of him wearing them, which is excellent. And I'm really happy that they fit. So just to start off with, I knit them with West Yorkshire Spinners yarns, and it's the one color is their winter icicle colorway, which is kind of like a stripy, like dark blue, light blue, and kind of white and ice blue and that sort of thing. So that's really nice. And then I used blueberry bonbon for the contrast heel cuffs and toes, because I always love doing. I always call them contrast, but often they're not contrast, they're matching. I always choose
often a solid color.
Yes, so they're contrast because they stand out because they're different to the main color yarn, but they're not actually contrasted, and they're not a contrasting color very often. But anyway, so that's how I knit them. And he had been struggling to find socks that fit him in general, just because his feet, like most of us, our feet are not a standard shape. And so for some people it can be really difficult to find commercial socks that fit. So I think he's really happy with these socks, because thank you. I actually went last time I was in South Africa and I took measurements of like the upper ankle, the lower ankle, the heel, the width of the foot, the length of the foot, and everything. And his foot isn't actually a terribly dissimilar size, so it's quite similar to my husband's size. So he tried on one of my husband's socks and just said like, oh, this is what's a bit tight, or this is what's a bit of a problem. And so then I just knit them kind of based on my husband's size, but then modified for the different areas. So I'm so glad they fit.
Tailor-made.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, I'm very happy with those, and so you'll have seen a picture, but I obviously don't have those as a finished object. So do you want to talk about something?
Yeah. I took on some of your wool, or bought off, or whatever you want to say. And so shall I show? Yeah. This is a little knee rug, I suppose you can say. I crocheted. I was practicing because I bought rainbow coloured wool that I want to make probably something. Well, I'm not saying what I'm wanting to make yet, but they'll come out as smaller squares because it's 4-ply. It's 4-ply. And I thought, well, I'll practice with this nice thick wool.
So what thickness is it?
I don't know. I feel like I'm tested.
No. So you finally remembered to bring your ball bands.
Yes, I did.
So we know what they are.
Oh, yes.
So one of these, we don't actually remember which ones are which, but this is Tayberry Purple. I think that it's actually the colour that you've used to join the different ones. I think that's the Tayberry Purple.
And then
so this one is, it's just a medium. So these are, sorry, I'm like taking over.
No, please. I wouldn't know what I'm saying.
These are yarns that I actually originally purchased from Aldi. And then I just landed up not using them. So unfortunately, you probably can't get them again if you do want them. Because if you know Aldi, they have like yarn in the middle aisle, and it kind of changes every like week or whatever. They add new stuff, and then they usually do bring back yarn, and often it's a similar thickness, but you can't get the same colorway again.
Yeah.
So unfortunately you probably can't get these again, but so this is, it just says a medium 4, but it recommends a 5mm needle, so I would say this is probably like an Aran or worsted weight yarn.
Yeah, and these are the same.
Yes.
So, and this rainbow yarn,
So
purple wish.
The purple whoosh, maybe that was the...
No, because it's got the rainbow, I think this... Oh,
that's, yeah, maybe that's the one you used for joining.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Look, these also say Umbra.
But that's, I know this one, you can also see from the picture, the
Yes.
Sundance Umbra yarn was, you've used them for the centres, because the colour stripes were quite long, so you've got yellow here and pink here, and there's a blue down here, and those were all from that Sundance. Just because, yeah, they made up a whole thing, because they were quite long repeats, yeah.
Yeah, so it was, I liked those, because it was kind of, I like things that you can't control in a way, like watercolor is the same, that you kind of got a little bit of a surprise. So as the wool kind of pulled out of the ball, it started changing to a different color, and I quite like that, because then that's the surprise element in it. I suppose it draws out the creativity.
Jack's coming to join us. Are you coming up?
And Salty's investigating his tail. An interesting little senior that no one else can see.
Yes. Oh, he's moved on now. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so I liked the fact that the balls were kind of changing colour. That was just the one that I joined everything up with. Yes. That one was all one, but it was variegated in itself.
Yeah, very short kind of colour. Like, almost like if you knit it up, it almost looks like camo, at least in my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's all I want to say about this one.
Excellent. Yeah. And for those, so some people have been seeing on my stories on Instagram, I've been sharing things about progress keepers and stitch markers, and I've mainly been focusing on knitted stuff, but a really great thing if you want to use them for crochet. Do you want to say
about the mistake?
Well, yeah, or just how you used it.
Well, I'll tell you how I was introduced to using it, because I came up here and I'd already sewn up like about 5 rows of squares, and I had some more rows to sew on, and because it was 5 by 5, I got confused about which way along I'd designed it to go, and I was like, oh no. And then Deala said, well, have you taken a photo of your plan? And I said, yes, I have. So we could work out which was the end and which I had to be attaching the next row to. And so she whipped out this little progress keeper, and we hooked it on the end, and so I could always know where I was going to sew next. So that was brilliant.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
And you're selling them, hey?
Yes. Yes. So I'll get on to that at the end of the podcast. I'll talk more about those. But yeah, so just like, so when it was 5 by 5, it's obviously like a square, and sometimes it's confusing about which side of that square you were planning to join the next row to. And so that way, if you just hook the progress keeper onto the side that you're going to join to, and every time you just move it along, then you'll always remember, okay, I'm adding here. Yeah,
because my design was, it's almost like an asymmetrical design, so it couldn't be like, for sure, it's like some of the stripes were diagonal, but some of them were like juxtapositions.
So I don't know if we can see. Oh, here. So you can see this like pink that runs along in one line, yellow and blue, green.
But the purples are more like...
Yes.
So, yeah, that was... And I was kind of in my mind, I really liked the design that I'd done, so I didn't want to mess it up.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So, I think that's it.
Yeah. Great. So I'll quickly, while you pack that away, I'll show you. My mother-in-law actually got me this really cute coaster last time she was here. Let's see if I can show it up. Or I might just add a photo of it. But anyway, so it's 2 sheep wearing some woolly jumpers. And I also love the fact that the sheep's jumpers actually have sheep on them. So yeah. Oh, Salty's running away with my mom's hat. Okay. So the next thing I have are a pair of socks for my friend Erica. So it's quite common for me. I mean, I talk about this all the time, but I love knitting socks, and I've knit enough socks for my husband and I to like last forever. And so I now will often knit for my friends. She's pulled my mom's ball band off the table and she's now attacking it. Salty. Oh, and now Jack's on the table. Oh my gosh. Oh. Should we just leave her or you want to take it away?
No, I'm not going to take it away.
Okay, you can stop. I'll just add it. If you can send that to me, I'll add that. Oh my goodness, these cats. Anyway, back to the story. So anyway, so a lot of my friends will just buy, friends and family that are close to me and who I deem knit worthy, they will pay for the materials of the socks and then I will knit them socks because I love knitting socks. So these are for my friend Erica, and these are the by a dyer, South African dyer called, which is, I don't actually know her name, but the brand is Stella Fiberworks. And so these are beautiful. I got them last time when we were in...
Lovely colours.
Yes. I got them last time when we were in South Africa. And I had agreed for like a bunch of my friends who are either knitters or like close friends. I'd created like a little group where I was sharing photos of our holiday and that sort of thing. And so I'd message in there saying if anyone wants any wool, I'm happy. For my knitter friends, I was like, if you want it, I'll purchase it and you can pay me back and I'll bring it. Or if like for my other friends, like I'll just knit for you. I was like kind of overwhelmed. There were like quite a lot of people asking for lots of things and wanting to see close-up photos of different yarns and that sort of thing. And so I didn't really check, and I didn't realize that this, although it's labeled as a sock yarn and it is 4-ply, it's actually 100% merino.
Oh dear.
And I don't really like knitting with 100% merino for socks because merino, if you didn't know, it's a very short staple length of yarn, so it's very soft and cozy, but it's also very soft, which means it's not super hard wearing as socks. So I asked my friend Erica like what she would like me to do. I could either just keep the yarn and knit her like a shawl or something, and I could knit her socks out of something else, or I could just go with it and try, or the option we landed up going with is I use some actual sock yarn for heels, cuffs and toes because those tend to be the areas that get the most wear.
And what's that wool?
So this is, it was just a brand called Teddy Yarns. It wasn't something I'd ever used before, but it's called Cozy Toes, and then I used it at the beginning of the year for some socks for my sister-in-law, Yulia, and so I knit those, so, and then I just had this left over, so that's one I used. And she, Erica also chose the colour, so it looks really nice, so this was, 100% merino for the main colour, and then the contrasts are 75% wool and 25% nylon, and these are actually 60 stitches, not 64 stitches, because she has much smaller feet than me. And yeah, so these are great, and they're ready to go off to my friend. Yep. Okay. And then I have another finished object, which is for Erica's partner, and these are for him, and he has quite long feet but very skinny legs and feet, and so I always knit his with a rib because it just means that it's more elastic, so it holds onto the leg better, because his feet are so big, well not big but like long, that it needs to be, so these are actually 64 stitches, but like his legs were really skinny. So this just helps him fit better, and he has said, like, I've knit him both. I've knit him just a plain stockinette leg, and I've knit him also a what am I gonna say? Oh, the ribbed leg, and he said he prefers the ribbed leg, so that's what we did.
I love the colours.
Thank you.
Did you, is it one ball of wool?
Yes, this is one ball of wool.
Wow.
I haven't done any. It actually almost looks like helical striping, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So this is actually something I find. So I bought this yarn. Let's see what the yarn is. This is the Lily Rose Dye Works, and this is the Misty Cliffs, which I believe is a place in Cape Town or South Africa.
Yes, it is. It's next to Scarborough.
Okay. So that's like, if you don't know Cape Town, it's basically in Cape Town. But yeah, if you know Cape Town, it's next to Scarborough. So these are called Misty Cliffs, and it's something that I'm always a little bit worried about when I allow non-knitters to choose yarn, or even knitters, people who aren't used to working with hand-dyed yarn. I'm a little bit nervous, and I'll actually insert some pictures because I love it. I find it so fascinating, and I can now kind of judge how it's going to turn out, but I'm like talking around the point and not getting to it. If you look at the original picture, so I'll put the picture here, it's like the skein almost looks like if it's half green and half blue. And they're really nice colours, but if you didn't know knitting, you might think that you would have quite, or not know knitting, if you didn't know hand-dyed yarn, you might think that you have quite thick stripes of each colour. But unless a hand dyer specifically says that it's a self-striping yarn, it usually is not going to make thick bands, because that actually takes quite a bit of effort and almost like mathematical planning on the part of the dyer to get those stripes to come out like that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes. I guess it's something that people don't always necessarily know. And a lot of people buy yarn that's just in balls. I mean, I only started buying hand-dyed yarn once I moved to the UK. So before that, I always bought it in balls, and what you see is what you get, really.
Yeah.
Whereas this actually, as you can see, has come out in these like little micro stripes, and it does actually, it might be hard, and maybe, well, you'll have a bigger picture, you might be able to see, it actually kind of spirals.
Yes.
And so I guess it kind of has made stripes of, but not the way that the original kind of hank would have looked like. And then when I balled it up into a ball, it looked completely different. And then when I knit it up, it looks completely different. So I love looking at how they change as they go along. But that is something I'm a bit worried about when friends choose yarn, and I'm like, do they know how it's going to look knitted up? Because when I saw that blue and that green next to each other, I immediately thought it was going to look something like this. That's like amazing. Micro stripes.
I wouldn't be able to imagine that.
But the thing is that you haven't knit with a lot of hand-dyed, whereas if you, like, any skein that I see that has two main colours distinct, so not like mottled all over, but two kind of distinct colours, I'm going to assume that it's going to make micro stripes.
Sure.
But it's just something you...
Yeah, it's experience.
Yeah, so these are 64 stitches, yarn bought in South Africa, and they're ready to go over, just go to my friends. They live in the UK, so these are ready. Yeah. Okay.
So,
you've got a...
I'm just wondering whether Salty's got my other...
ball band.
Yes.
Do you need me to get it for you?
Yes, that's the ball band.
Yes.
So, another thing I bought off Yellow was a... that's what Salty's chewed up in the last while. I bought, it's called Pom-Pom Hat Yarn.
Yes.
And when I bought it from Yellow, I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm going to make a hat, because I wasn't really thinking, I wanted one. But then after a while I was thinking, well, it does get cold in Scotland and they're very useful when you go walking and everything. But as I started knitting the first few rows, I was thinking, I don't really like beanies on my head. So what am I going to do? So then I asked...
I just want to interject here. So this yarn came with a pattern for a beanie on the inside. Yes. So that's why you were thinking you don't want a beanie.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And it's got a pom-pom and everything.
Yeah.
So then I actually messaged Yellow and I asked her, can I use your pattern? And you took that pattern off my mum's...
No, I didn't actually. I actually made it up, but it was inspired by my granny, because I actually don't really know anyone in Cape Town who wears berets or tam o' shanters. Yeah. But my gran always did. And she always knit them, like, all the time.
Yes.
And she also used to knit, so I designed 3 while my gran was very ill before she passed away. And 2 of them were just kind of like, the one was just, I think, plain. No, the one kind of had like waves in it, and it kind of looked like the sea, because my gran lived near the sea. Salty's eating this thing again. And then the other one had, like, it looked like leaves and berries, because my gran was a very keen gardener. And then the final one, which is the one you borrowed, is I knit it with like loads of, you've seen me wear it a lot on the podcast, but it's got loads and loads of stripes. Because my grandmother was always saved every scrap, and also other people would give her scraps, and then she would, like, everything she knitted landed up being in stripes. And so I knit it and I named the pattern Marguerite in Stripes. Now actually, just as an aside, none of these patterns have actually been published. I don't really know why.
I just did a blog about it, didn't you? Or not?
I'm not sure. I'll have to check. I don't think I did. She was just really ill, and then she passed away, and then I just never landed up publishing them, and I kind of, I don't know why, I just have never, if anyone wants them, they're really almost close to finish, and I can publish them. But anyway, so then I recently re-knit it in black, and I just didn't do any of the stripes, it was just plain black. So then I sent that pattern over to you. So it was based off of my grandmother's hats in concept.
Yes.
But I didn't actually, at that time, you weren't living here or anything, I didn't actually have any of her hats with me.
Oh, so, I see, yeah, and so I made this beret, and really it's actually based on the concept of your pattern, but it also, I changed it because I was then knitting double threads.
So you've added some mohair.
Yeah, I added some mohair to the first part, and then because it became thicker, like an Aran weight, I then realised I would have to continue adding some wool to the rest, which I quite like because I'm not a lover of stripes.
Yes.
Like stripes.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, just in case you didn't know, this yarn when it came had like pinks and purples and maybe a bit of brown that were in these like definite like big stripes.
Yes. And it went from brown to pink and then almost like an orange and then purple, and it was like going to be like, that's not me. Yeah. Really. Also, I was like wondering, why did I think I wanted this wool? But anyway, so what I did then was I went from the mohair and I started with mixing it with green. So it was almost like a contrasting colour with the red. And then when that ran out, I then started adding the purple. No, I had a little. So I used, like my mother. So
it's not all mohair?
No, it's just the first 2 inches or.
And these were just scraps, so we can't tell you where they came from.
Yeah, and like my mum, I like using up scraps. I find it quite inspiring, the way it mixed with the different colours, and it was also that sort of serendipitous feel about it, again, like the watercolour and painting. And so I landed up with it. I feel like it's like an organic ferrule.
Yes.
And you will show that.
Yeah, I'll take some nice pictures.
So then I had a different amount of stitches to use.
Yes.
And so we were trying to think, like, how many gauze would I use? So we decided on 5, which could divide into 170. But then by the time that it came to near the middle part, this sort of pink part, I started thinking, this is going to look like Noddy's hat. It's going to go like a point. So then I decided for myself, no, it's time to stop following your pattern. Yeah. Because I get blamed a lot for not following patterns. That's just what I do. And I was like trying to be good and follow.
Although, to be fair, because you'd not used the same number of stitches, you weren't really following the pattern anyway.
And I couldn't because it was a difference. Yeah. So then I just added an extra gore in between, right at the end, to flatten it out. Yeah. And then I knitted this little pimple thing at the top.
I would have called it a stalk, but you can call it a pimple.
Okay, a stalk sounds nice.
I love the little stalk.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I was thinking I was going to put the pom-pom on, but I'm not going to put the pom-pom on. If you want the pom-pom back because it's purple, you're welcome to.
Yeah, thank you.
Alright, so I think that's it for my lovely work. I enjoy wearing it.
It's lovely. It really is lovely.
I have to say that when I first, when I first finished the shape, I took a photo of it and I said it, or a video of it, and I said to Dale, it looks like a pumpkin. It looked way too big, and I did have to put elastic in.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and I also turned up
you see, this is the thing, I was surprised, again, but like, look, I know I'm the pattern designer here, not you, but my mom tells me, yeah, no, she's added extra yarn, so it's now 2 strands, so now it's going to be thicker, so she's increased the number of stitches. So I had you cast on, I think, like 102 stitches, and you cast on
114.
114. So
Yeah.
it's like, well, it's going to be bigger if you make more yarn, like make the yarn bigger. So it's going to be bigger if your yarn's thicker, and I'll just increase the stitches. So I was thinking, okay, maybe your head's a lot bigger than mine.
Well, I landed up thinking maybe for your husband.
For my husband, yeah. Yeah, he does have a very big head.
Well, I don't know whether it's that much bigger than mine, but...
Oh, it is, yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. Let me see.
Yeah, so... But it's fine. It's
I mean, with the elastic, it fits me.
yeah. And it wasn't exactly what I imagined, but then of course because I added the wools, it wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
So, and I'm happy with it.
So did you fold? Oh,
Yes.
I see. So you can actually see there's like a little hole here, so you can see the elastic where you've
Yeah, I
added
need
in.
to throw that up.
No, it's not a problem. But there's like, she's actually folded over the brim, so I think my brim's, my ribbing's a little bit deeper, and she's folded over the ribbing to make a channel where you can then add the elastic in. That's very clever.
Well, that is because your granny, or my mom, she used to knit these all the time, like you said, and then like sometimes she would go, I don't know what I was thinking, but it's way too big, and then she'd go, I'll just put elastic in. So that was what I was thinking. If it's too big, I'll put elastic in, just like my mother.
Well, I was thinking, I can't remember who she gave it to, whether it was myself or my sister, but my mom once came home from my grand's house with this tam o'shanter. It looked like an acorn. Do you remember that? I don't think we've got it anymore.
No.
It looked like an acorn.
I think it was for Siobhan.
Yeah. So sometimes they did come out a bit weird. But that's the joy of knitting.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think that's it for our finished objects. So Salty's sitting on my podcast notes. Excuse me, Salty. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I have some works in progress. Did you bring any works in progress? No, you just finished your hat.
Yeah, I've just finished my hat, and I do have that jersey that I am knitting, but I think it's packed away right now.
It's in the naughty corner.
We're going to be moving because we bought a house. So,
yes, yeah.
I've kind of tried to curtail my creativity for now.
Okay, well, I will just jump straight into the works in progress. So the first thing I have in this project bag, and I will talk about these project bags later on some more, but the first thing I have is actually a jumper for my sister-in-law. Now, it doesn't actually fit everything in it. I don't have the balls that I'm working with.
You're going to have to get a bigger one. Make a bigger one.
I know. But I got most of it. So this is a jumper for my sister-in-law, and it's going to be for her 30th birthday, but that's already passed. But she's very understanding, and it's gonna happen when it happens. And she designed it. She chose all the different motifs and stuff that she wanted in it, and I'm just knitting it up. So we'll start off with the sleeve since it's at the top. So this is the first sleeve. It's going to be a saddle shoulder. So we've actually got the cable running all the way up the center, up over, and it's going to go onto the shoulder. And then we just have like a seat stitch type thing going on, and then some ribbing at the bottom. And this yarn is it's the Drops Merino Extra Fine. Oh, I actually got some next to me. I had to buy some more because for the first time ever, I actually bought too little instead of too much yarn. I usually buy way too much yarn, and this time I bought too little. So it's the Drops Merino Extra Fine in the uni color, so it's 100% wool, and the color is just 26. It doesn't really have a name, but there we go. So they're 50-gram balls, and so yep, that's the first bit. And then we have, what's this? Yes, here's the back. It looks a strange shape and very small because she really wanted it ribbed, which is not something I would usually do, but that's what she wanted, and it's her present, so obviously it's going to stretch out a lot when she wears it, so that's why it looks a little bit skinny and strange. And then we have the front. And this, she chose a cable for the front.
That's lovely.
Thank you. And this is the first cable that I actually really like the back of it as well. Usually I don't like the backs of cables, it's like a blah. But this one's actually really nice. The back almost looks like a lace pattern, whereas the front is like obviously a cable. And this one was a bit of a labor of love because I did like 2 or 3 repeats of the cable, and then I discovered that the pattern book I'm following has errors, and so it was messed up.
Bit frustrating.
It was very frustrating. I was very upset, and then I kind of rewrote it and figured out what was wrong with it, and I fixed it. But I was just like, I didn't know whether I should pull it out or not. I was like, is anyone gonna notice? Like, probably no one who doesn't knit will notice. But I was just like, I'm not sure. But I've been timing how long my knitting is for like each project. I'd just like to do that. And so it had been about 2 to 3 hours worth of knitting. And I was just like, I don't know. So then I called you up and we had a discussion, and eventually we were like, no, I want to be proud of my work. And even if no one else in the whole world notices it, I will not be proud of it unless they rip it out. And guys, ripping out cable work is not fun. So I actually put an afterthought lifeline. So I added, so what you do is you take a needle with some thread and then you pick up the stitches. And picking up an afterthought lifeline in ribbing is also really difficult. I mean, it's easier than a cable, but it's also really difficult. So anyway, so I went all the way back to the ribbing, and I had to re-knit like maybe 1 or 2 rows of the ribbing and then carry on with the cable. So yeah, so the lifeline, if you didn't know, you can pick up the stitches with the needle. You just pick up like the left hand leg. I can't remember if it's the left or the right hand leg, but you just pick up one leg of each stitch. So the stitch kind of looks like 2 V's, but when it's on the needle, it actually sits like that, not like this. So you just pick up the one, and then when it's on the yarn, it'll sit like that. And then you can then rip back your yarn and it won't drop too far, and then you can just pick it up with a needle. It was not fun, but that's how much I love my sister-in-law. And also how much I want to be proud of my own work. So anyway, so I mean, it looks really nice when you pull it out a bit. That cable looks really nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, it's I just have one more sleeve to do, and then I need to, it'll have ribbing around the neck. I need to sew it together. But yeah, she's very patient and she doesn't mind when I finish it. So I'm sure it'll be done by the end of the year.
For next winter.
Yeah, for next winter. I mean, there is a little bit more room in the bag, but I couldn't fit all of the balls. Yeah, so that's the first one. And then my second one is in another bag which I just made. Again, I'll talk about that later. But these are some socks for my friend E in South Africa. I don't know if he wants me to use his full name, so I'll just say E. And this is the yarn I'm using is the Kingfisher colorway by West Yorkshire Spinners, and then I'm again using the Blueberry Bonbon as the contrast for the heel cuffs and toes.
Wow.
I don't know if you can hear the cats fighting in the background.
It matches so well.
It does. It's like almost,
Yes.
like, oh, you know, maybe you can see in the photo, but like this blue stripe and this heel, it's like almost exactly. It might be the same color, I'm not sure. No, it's not quite, but it's almost exactly.
Yeah.
So I did actually, like, what I did, I feel like I was such a weirdo. So I created a spreadsheet because I love West Yorkshire Spinners yarn. So I created a spreadsheet of all the West Yorkshire Spinners yarns that I have used. And then I created another one with all the ones I haven't used. And then I added pictures from, I use Wool Warehouse to order my yarn, and they have little pictures, so I just copied that picture and stuck it in so I could see which one. So I didn't add pictures for the ones I have used, but for the ones I haven't used, I added pictures. And then I looked through their solid colors and thought, like, if I was going to do a contrast color, which color would I use? But I didn't always, most of them, no. So I didn't always choose the perfect color. What I did is I tried to choose a color that I could use for multiple. So like I used for the Winter Icicle, and for this one I used this Blueberry Bonbon because obviously you're not going to use as much yarn for the contrast. You only use like 25 grams or less.
Yeah.
And so you'll have like a whole lot left. So I wanted to use something I could like keep using. So yeah, but I'm really impressed at how close that matches. So yeah, Blueberry Bonbon, the Kingfisher colorway. These are actually a 68 stitch sock. So he's really big feet compared to how I use. I mean, he doesn't have really, really big feet. It's just much bigger than what
I imagine so.
It's a size 10.
Mm.
He's very tall.
That's true.
So anyway, so I mean, I probably could have done a ribbing on the side because he's also quite skinny.
Mm.
Although when I asked him how the proof, so I've knit him one pair of socks before, and he said they fit like a glove, fits a hand. So I was like, that's fine. I'll just knit them the same then. So that's what we have here.
Lovely.
So I'm almost. I've just got this much. Oh, and he chose. This is a Progress Keeper from Crafty Cat Nitty Bits. It's a little kitty, a grey kitty.
Yeah.
So he chose that one. I said when I'm knitting for my friends, I like to send them pictures of my Progress Keepers, and I'm like, hey, which one do you want me to use? So I just use that to remind me like which side of the sock is the front and the back. Which once you get to the heel is kind of obvious, but before that, I need to know which side is which. And they just make me happy, really. Yeah, so I'm almost done with this one. And that'll be good because this friend lives in Cape Town, and I'm going back in May, so they need to be done before May so I can give them to her. But it's nice that they match with the bag. And then my final whip at the moment is actually for myself. And this one, I feel like I was struggling to get it to match. So this is a little, just the beginning of the socks for me. I'm not really knitting on them much at the moment because I've got other commitments. But so these are the two colours I'm using. So the main colour, it says 06, but I'm pretty sure it's called Hidden Gem. So this actually I bought specially because you can see it's from the Winwick Mum collection. So when I first learned to knit socks, I used the Winwick Mum pattern, and although I've like tweaked things and adjusted things to knit socks exactly how I want to, I would say it all started off from hers. Like the way I knit socks is not that different from the way she knit socks. And so when I discovered that she teamed up with West Yorkshire Spinners to do like a colourway range, there's 3 colours. I bought 2 of them because I absolutely just, it was like serendipity, like my favourite sock yarn with my favourite sock pattern right out. I was just like, I have to, and also obviously I love purple. So I got this one, and there's another one which is a blue one, and I can't remember what that one's called, but I'm pretty sure this one's called Hidden Gem. But oh wait, no, it's not 06. I get confused. Some of these, like the numbers are weird. It's 871.
Oh yeah.
So if you look at the label from the shop that does it, there's like 3 numbers, and I always forget that with the West Yorkshire Spinners yarn, the number that you're looking for is actually the middle number, so it's 871. Again, I'm pretty sure it's called Hidden Gem. And if you didn't know, West Yorkshire Spinners, so it's 75% wool, 25% nylon, but 35%. See, I'm not good at math. 35% is Blueface Leicester, but is that 35% of the 100%, or is that 35% of the 75%?
It must be of the 75, surely, if that's the wool.
Yeah, but it could be, so it could either be, if it wasn't 35% of the 75%, then it would be 35% Blueface Leicester,
yes,
and what's that, 40% other wool. I don't know. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It's got Blueface Leicester in it, which is an amazing yarn. So it's quite common here in the UK, the Blueface Leicester as a breed. And it's just, I really love it because it's not too hard. It's not too rough or rustic or itchy or anything. I'm not sure if I would make a scarf out of it. Like, I feel like you could, but I'm quite sensitive. But it makes amazing socks, and it's because it's a longer staple length, it's much more hard wearing than merino. So I just love the sock yarn. So anyway, so then I got this other colour, which is, oh, this one's actually got the name on it. This one's Penny Royal, which is 530 is the code. And so this is also West Yorkshire Spinners. But as you can see, they're not really a perfect match. Like, it doesn't really, and I couldn't find any purple that really worked with this one. I still need to have a look. I haven't had a proper look, but I did get a message from Winwick Mum, Winwick. I always say Winwick. It's Winnick. Winnick Mum for she said that she has a blog post where she talks about the best colours to match for the different ones.
Oh.
Because I was saying I might actually write to West Yorkshire Spinners and ask if they would increase their solid colour range, because I love using their yarn so much that I would buy their solid colours even to pair with other brands of yarns. But they, at least in Wool Warehouse, maybe if you buy it from somewhere else, but at Wool Warehouse they just don't have the hugest range. They don't have the hugest range of solid colours, so I'm just pairing these two. I think they're nice.
Yeah.
They're not bad.
Yeah.
But they're not like a perfect match. Hey, Jack. Come to join us. So this section is future knitting. Do you have any plans or dreams for the future, or you don't want to?
Well, there's that rainbow wool that I bought,
Yes.
and I mean the easiest thing to do is like a shawl or a little blanket, or it might not be that little. I actually got quite a lot.
Yeah, I did see. So my parents are staying at the moment. They haven't moved into the house yet, so they're staying with me like in downstairs, and the utility room's downstairs. So I go there to use the washing machine and stuff as well. And I walked in and I just saw all these balls, and it's all sock yarn. I was like, wow.
Lots of socks. No. I'll send it out to you to do.
But you could hold it double.
Yeah, I could hold it double. That would be very interesting.
Well, so what I would do, you could just do some swatches.
Yeah.
And see. But you could hold, so most of it is very stripy rainbow. So you could hold two of them double together and see how it looks when you mix it up. Or you could buy a solid colour that picks up one of the colours in the rainbow and then do those two together.
Yeah, so I doubt that it's going to be a garment for me because it's very bright. And on my, what would you call them? Some days I might feel very bright like that, but generally I don't.
Yeah.
So having a whole garment like that, it would be enough to make a dress or something. I don't know.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and I got two different types of...
The one was Hidden Gem. I'm sorry, not Hidden Gem. That's the purple one. Wildflower. The one colour is called Wildflower. I know that.
We'll have to have a look and see.
I think that one of the other one was a very short kind of variegation, and that one I think is one of the Zara. It's also from West Yorkshire Spinners, but it's like Zara something or the other. I think it was called something Garden.
Yeah. So I thought they would do the centre part, the one, and then do the edge.
Like you did with the blanket,
with the other one.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But otherwise I've got my jersey that I'm going to knit, so that will be full winter.
What colour? Remind me what colour it is.
It's greens. It's mould.
Oh yes, that's and it's actually called like marble yarn or something. It's by, is it James C. Brett?
Yes,
I think so.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to knitting that because it's going to replace a dark blue.
Purple. Yeah. To me, it's like a purple. It's like a very dark amethyst.
Yeah,
purple.
it's got some purple in it as well, because that's also variegated, the whole thing.
And I'm going to inherit it.
Yes. Because I'm tired of that one. Yeah, so eventually when I've finished knitting that. And I do have something for summer. Remember I bought that...
oh, a t-shirt.
Yeah.
We're going to knit a t-shirt.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is something I could start now, I guess. Yeah. But that's all wishful thinking as such.
So for my future knitting, I actually got some yarn. My husband, Wool Warehouse was actually having a sale on this yarn, and because I have this problem, I'm like cursed when it comes to jumpers. I've knit my husband at least 2 jumpers and he loves them. And I'm now knitting this jumper for my sister-in-law and it's going great. I've knit myself at least 3 if not 4 jumpers and I don't wear any of them. No, there's one I wear. I think there's a 5th one that I wear, but like 3 or 4 of them I don't wear because they're either too small or too itchy. I don't know how I order yarn that comes out itchy.
Oh dear.
I don't know. But anyway, so then my husband husband pointed out, well, you've been knitting this jumper for sister-in-law, and it's really nice. So it's a merino, so it's going to be soft anyway, but it's working up really nicely and everything. He was like, well, because I needed to buy some more for her, he noticed that it was on sale, and he was like, well, why don't you just buy for yourself? So, I've just realised I need to get my jersey. Okay, so this is a jersey that my granny knit.
Yep.
Was it for you?
Yeah.
Yes.
She had knitted herself one. It was almost in this kind of colour and sort of brown stripes, and I loved it so much. I mean, I remember that from when I was about 7 or 8 years old. Yeah, and so then she said, okay, she'll knit me one. So she knit
And how old were you when she knit this one?
28, 29.
I was going to say, you couldn't have been that young because this fits me.
Yes.
Yeah, so I really love it, and I do wear it, although I sometimes feel a bit like nervous wearing it because to me it's like an heirloom piece, and I don't want it to like wear through or anything, but I really do love it, and so I want to remake it. And so we have got two colours. I've got these two colours, and I'm going to use obviously this pinky purple for the bottom, and then this like grey brown, well, yeah, it's like mostly grey colour for like where this brown colour is. And so the colour for the grey colour is like 08. I think it was called like Grey Mix or something like that. And then this one is colour 36, and I cannot for the life of me remember what the name of the colour was. I think it was, oh no, I think it was Amethyst maybe. I'm not sure. But it's the Drops Merino Extra Fine Uni colour. And so yeah, we got enough to knit, hopefully enough to knit a jumper. We just kind of guessed. Because I weighed this, and this is only like 350 grams or something, and I used like at least 600 or 700 for my sister-in-law's jumper, so I'm like, that's not gonna work. But my grandmother has a much looser tension than me, like way looser, so I think that's probably part of it. But obviously I'll have to knit up some swatches. I'm not entirely sure what pattern I'm going to use for it. We can't find the pattern that my gran used. We thought we had it, but we can't find it.
It's very sad.
Yeah. But it's weird. So it looks like a raglan. Sorry, a satin sleeve.
Yeah.
But then the neck is almost like a yoke.
Yes, it is. So she stopped knitting
where the pink is.
Yeah.
At the bottom.
So she knitted up, and then she knit the rows up so the shape of.
Oh, so you knit them all in pieces, because I can see this being seamed. Yeah, the whole thing's been seamed. I like seaming them as well. So you knit like a set-in garment, but then you do like a really wide neckline, and then once you've seamed it all together, then you pick up for the yoke and knit it around it as a yoke. So my only tricky bit will be trying to figure out
how to do that.
Where you stop for the neckline. I don't know. I suppose it'll just be a lot of measuring.
Maybe your husband with a mathematical mind will manage to figure that out.
I think husband will be employed on this one. I think it's just going to be a lot of measuring. Like you just measure like from the bottom where you start the sleeve to up here, and then also from the bottom to the neck, and then you've got to figure out the difference between where the neck is here and here, and then decrease enough.
Yeah, I could almost do it on one of those graph
paper, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so I don't really know how that's going to go, and that's going to be in a while because I've got loads of other commitments, but I have the yarn for it.
Maybe one of the viewers has an idea.
Yeah, if anyone knows of a pattern that's quite similar, at least in shaping, nothing else has to be similar, just the shaping has to be similar. Let me know, and then I can work on it from there. And then I am potentially going to knit some more socks for my father-in-law, although I'm not sure. So his birthday's coming up soon, so I think it would be nice to knit him some more socks. But obviously also I have a lot of other knitting commitments, and so I'm kind of struggling to keep on top of everything. Also just like mentally remembering everything that I want to do. And because I see, this is kind of a tangent, but often on like Instagram and stuff, I see these amazing projects that someone's knitted or whatever, and I think that's so amazing. Like, I'd love to do that, and then I just think, I just don't have time because I'm just constantly knitting for other people, which is not a problem. I love knitting and I love knitting for other people, but I've just got to be realistic. And I think I've also just got to start like fitting in things where I can. So while I'd like to knit another pair of socks for my father-in-law, I'm not going to like necessarily commit to it straight away because I also have other things I want to do. Which ties into the next thing I was going to talk about, is potentially doing some swaps with my mom. Because I can sew, but I'm not really that good at it. And I don't really enjoy it as much. I enjoy it like a little bit, but not like a lot. I enjoy having the finished object. But I'm not, and I enjoy choosing the fabric and stuff, and I don't mind pinning, I don't mind cutting, I don't even mind hand sewing. I just really hate using the actual sewing machine, which I don't know why.
Don't know either.
She's got a cat down here and a cat up there. Oh, she's gonna jump into the book. Oh, she's gonna jump into the bookshelf. But anyway, so oh no.
Do your hair.
Yeah, she's doing my hair. Please don't do my hair. So anyway, so I'm just not that good at it, and like I can do really basic stuff, but as soon as it gets complicated, like I can't do it. And I feel like you're kind of almost similar with like the knitting. Like you enjoy knitting, but then like you really struggled with the crown decreases on that and whatever. Was like I'll knit a beret in like a day. I'm like, that's fine. Trying it out. So I thought it would be great if my mom, because my mom's really good at sewing. She's doing your hair now. My mom's really good at sewing, and I know it was a while ago, but when I was younger or before I was born, you did pattern drafting course and stuff, so mom's much better at sewing than me, and she actually enjoys it, so so I thought we could just...
I haven't done it for a long time.
Yes.
But,
I think you're like maybe a bit out of practice.
Yeah.
But, that happens with everyone.
I'm looking forward to setting up my sewing room in the new house.
Yes. So the idea was that we could do some swaps, and I'll probably still help my mom like do some cutting out and pinning and stuff, but it's just like it'll be nicer that we like focus on our own strengths.
Yes.
So that's it for my future knitting. Okay, so now we're going to move on to other and news as two new sections. So if you were only here for like the pure sort of knitting stuff, then you can leave. So you don't have to feel obligated to keep watching. But thank you very much for everyone who's watched this far. And yeah, so I'll get on to other. So I'll first start off with my order book. So as I was saying, like I really have been struggling to kind of keep on top of like what people I've agreed to do or what I want to do and that sort of thing. So I decorated this book.
It's very nice.
Thank you. So
it's inspiring.
The back's a little bit scuffed, but I can't find these anywhere in the UK. So when I go back to South Africa, I always like buy one or two of them and bring them across because they're just great I love decorating so I journal a lot. And also I use books for writing down lists, writing down things for my knitting or whatever, and so I just really love these books because they're great to decorate, and in South Africa they're really cheap. The biggest problem for me bringing them across is obviously books weigh something. They're heavy and you only have so much like limit of stuff that you can bring. But anyway, so I only brought one last time because I had a lot of other stuff that I was bringing, mostly yarn. But anyway, so I decorated the front, I did some decoupage. So I painted it white, and then I painted, like I used a stencil and I did these like, you can't really see but it's quite faint, like little stars. And then I added some like tissue paper over the top for some texture, and then I did some washi tape and like some little cutout bits from some like scrapbooking paper I had, and then I added like some more tissue paper. You just like peel off the layers, so it's just like one thin layer, and then you decoupage it on. And then finally I just stuck on like a little label that says knitting order book. So then I have inside, you can't really see it, I'll read it to you. So I just have different columns, so I have like a number, so I know I don't know, I just like to number things. And then I have the recipient, so that's obviously the name of the person that I'm going to be knitting or crocheting for. Then I have the project, which just tells me like what it is that I'm doing. Then I have a date, which is basically the due date that needs to be done. And so not everything has a due date. So like my sister-in-law's jersey, that's just left blank because it's just going to happen when it happens. And the purple socks for myself, again, left blank. It's just going to happen when it happens. But then stuff for my friends and family who are in South Africa, I've got either May or August for when we're going back and I need to bring the projects. And then I have a column for paid, which at the moment is just not applicable. But for friends who have said they will pay for the material cost or whatever, then I will add in there whether they're paid or not. And then obviously I have a column for if it's complete. And at the moment that's all blank because I just started the book. But this was my idea that I can, and then obviously if something comes up that's really urgent, I might jump it in the queue. But this will help me keep track of like who asked me first and what needs to be done, sort of thing.
That's a very good idea. Very organized.
Thank you. I love writing stuff down. Yeah, so that's my knitting order book. And then I'll talk about my bags. So we had a lovely afternoon yesterday.
We did. Like a sewing afternoon.
Yes. And so I had actually cut out the fabric for these bags and prepared the zips like last year sometime. It was before December because I gave you a bag for Christmas.
Yes.
But then it got really, really cold and I was sewing in my dining room area which doesn't have heating, and I couldn't bear to sew. So these just got, although they were cut out, they just got packed away in my craft room, and we're just sitting there waiting to be sewn. And I was just like presuming they're just gonna be done like next year or something. Like, I don't know. And then my mom messaged me yesterday and was like, oh, I'm setting up my sewing machine to do a little bit of sewing this afternoon. Do you want to come join? And I was like, yes, it's my chance. So do you want to talk some more about yesterday?
Yeah, well, I enjoyed the company. It was really nice. It sort of reminded me of when I used to sew with my mom. We'd get together and we'd both have our projects and we'd share the sewing machine and pin and talk and so forth. Yeah, so, and I wasn't doing any new garments, I was actually just altering garments, this one, but some other things as well.
Yeah, and it was just nice, because, like, we help each other, maybe, like, I accidentally sewed the zip-on backwards, so the inside of the bag was going to be outside, the outside was going to be inside, and I was just like, I was just done, and my mom was like, oh, it's fine, if you rip it out, I'll sew it again for you. So my mom actually landed up sewing like all of my zips on for me, which was very nice because I was just like fed up with them. But then my mom was struggling with like one of her jumpers. She was going to alter the sleeves and she wasn't sure how to do it, so I just gave you some advice, and that ended up being the way you did it. So it's just nice, like just helping each other where our strengths are. And
and I also learned how to make bags.
Yes,
I've always been terrified of making bags. My mom used to make even sort of like tote bags and all sorts of things. And I was like, oh no, that's not my department. But actually, I think I could do it.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the thing for me with these sort of bags. They're actually, to me, really easy. Like I said, I'm not like big into sewing. The most difficult part is literally the zip. Like, that is the most difficult part. The rest of it is just straight lines. Everything you're sewing is a straight line. Like, I know it looks kind of tapered and it has like a box bag, but it's created by doing straight lines. Like, you literally, and because you turn it inside out at the end, like all of your seams are encased. So even if it looks a bit messy, no one's gonna see it because it's inside. So yeah, I always I don't think of myself as a good sewer, and I think these bags are really easy. So, but that's the thing, like, you're really good at the actual sewing part, and I'm quite good at the seeing how things are going to go together. So yeah, it was just a really great afternoon. And then the final thing I have for the other section, I don't really know how I'm going to show these. I might just put some pictures up. Yeah, I'll just put some pictures up. But I've been working on some stitch markers / progress keepers. I tend to call them progress keepers because I love categorizing things, and so for me, a stitch marker is what you put on the needle when you're working with a specific number of stitches to mark those out. And a progress keeper is something which you can clip on and off and add on to either mark your progress or to measure the distance between some rows. But I know that a lot of people use them interchangeably and just call them all stitch markers or all progress keepers. And so, yeah, that's what they are. But I just have been working on these little beaded designs. I've just been, some of the supplies I just find at some local craft stores near us, and some of them I order online. But, and some of them are non-repeatable because they're random beads that I've found that we've had since we were like kids or whatever. So, but yeah, I really have enjoyed. I originally started making them because I wanted some more for myself, and I wanted some sort of like specific designs that I couldn't find in stores and that sort of thing. So then I started looking online and that sort of thing for some of the supplies. And then I just like enjoyed doing it so much, and got such great feedback from other people about them that I thought, well, I could always see if like people want to buy them. So my plan, I haven't actually like decided, I haven't like uploaded any yet, but I have a Folksy account, which is kind of like Etsy, but it's mainly UK based. And after Brexit and everything, I'm not really sure how shipping to other countries works and stuff. So I think I'm going to stick with the UK for the moment. If anyone wants me to ship elsewhere, get in contact and I can see if I can make a plan. But at the moment, I'm just going to focus on the UK just because it's easier for me to ship. I don't have to worry about custom tax and that sort of thing. But yeah, so I will be shortly uploading these to Folksy and selling them. And just see if anyone likes them. Otherwise, I'll just keep them. But they're so much fun. I really enjoy, and I've always, like, I'm adding extra beads and stuff because a lot of the charms already come pre-made. And then I feel a bit weird just adding a hook to it and being like, bam, there, I made it. Like, I like to add the beads and stuff. Like, it's fun to add interesting bits. So I've actually found some swatches that I made. So this is a crochet swatch. I need to weave in the ends. And then this is actually a seed stitch swatch that I made for my husband's jumper. Anyway, I just got some neutral ones and I thought that these would be really nice for photos. Like when I upload product photos, I can show them clipped on so people can get a general idea of what it would look like if they were working with them. Yeah, so I think that's it for my progress keepers. Do you have anything to say? Not really?
No.
Okay. I have a whole collection of them. Of these are the ones I'm keeping for myself. All of the ones I make, I'm like, oh, I really like that. I think I want to keep them.
Was that Granny's?
What?
This bowl?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I think I have the lid.
Oh.
I've got an extra lid because I've got one similar.
Okay. Yeah, it definitely came from you, so it probably was Granny's. Yeah. Okay. So our final section is news. Should we start off with your news about your house? Do you want to know? I know we keep talking about the house, but do you want to talk some more?
Well, we bought a house.
Yes.
30 minutes away from from
Ellie. Yeah.
And it's in the beautiful valley, the Tweed Valley. I'm very, very excited. It's got a beautiful view of the river. It's got, haven't we spoken about this before? It's got a terraced garden that goes down towards the river, and so I'm looking forward to gardening very much. Yes. And the house is a little bit of a fixer-upper. I'm sure people could move in, but we want to change some things upstairs. We want to put in new floors. So
yeah, the previous owners had quite a few dogs, and the dogs were all like allowed everywhere in the house, which, I mean, lots of people do that, but my mom's quite allergic to dogs. And so the combination of the fact that the carpets look quite messed up because the dog's claws like pulled on them. I think they were quite cheap carpets or something. They look almost like office tile carpets. Do you know what I'm talking about? They don't look like normal house carpets. Yeah. But anyway, they're quite messed up. They're like all, like the threads all pulled and stuff. And then also obviously it smells quite doggy. And so that's an issue for my mom's asthma. So they're going to be replacing the floors and stuff.
Yeah, and we're going to put underfloor heating in. And so, yeah, I'm not too sure what else about.
Yeah, it's just exciting. So, well, you've been kind of packing things and putting some of your craft stuff on hold because you're waiting for that.
Yeah,
so,
I have. And I've been sorting out some more. I seem to be eternally sorting out, and I suppose one does. One collects clutter and projects, whatever, and you think, okay, that's time to go. So I've been doing a little bit of that as well. And then all my wool. I didn't realize how much wool I had actually accumulated in the last 6 months.
It sneaks up on you.
Yeah, I've got to tame that.
Good luck.
Yeah, so I've got them in different boxes or bags or whatever. So I've got my projects. So I actually have a lot of projects in my mind.
Yes, yeah.
So that's all. And so up until the wedding celebration, I don't think we're going to be working on the house too much. We've been kind of fiddling with plans and things. But once we get back, then we will start. Hopefully. Yeah.
That's great.
Say with a vengeance.
Yeah. So like my mom said, it's coming up soon to May, and in May we're going to South Africa for my sister's wedding celebration. So my sister did actually get married last year. Yes, last year. It was just like a court wedding sort of thing. Although my husband and I went, and my brother-in-law's brother came as well, so it wasn't like completely like whatever, but because most of the family and friends are in South Africa, and because they're in the UK, they decided to just have like a court wedding, and now they're having a wedding celebration in South Africa this year. And so we're going back for that, so we're very excited.
It is very exciting.
And it's so soon. At the time of recording, it's like 2.5 weeks before we leave, which is actually kind of insane. So I'm not 100% sure whether we will be doing a podcast next month. Actually, no, I'm pretty sure we're not, because I'm not back until I think the 5th of June. So, but my thought was that we might do some, like, take some pictures and maybe some short videos like I did last time I was away, and then I'll do like more of a montage video again, like we did previously, because I just don't think I'm going to be able to get that all done, like do it like a proper sit down thing, because we're going to be in South Africa and that sort of thing. So that's kind of keeping things going. But so we're very excited about that. I'm in two minds about whether I'm going to buy more yarn while I'm there. Like, the temptation is so great. But also, like, if I didn't, I could buy more of those books that are like, I don't know. And I could get more but this is the thing, like, I don't know if if the Progress Keepers are doing well, I could get some beads from South Africa. South Africa does some beautiful beads. But then, like, I don't know if the Progress Keepers will sell, and I don't want to, like, have thousands of them and nothing to do with them.
And you might be back in June as well.
August. It's my father-in-law's 70th birthday in August. I could get the beads then. That's probably, that's a smart idea. I'll wait for that. But it's also because we're going so soon, I'm really feeling like, I shouldn't be like uploading stuff to Folksy right now. Like, I should wait. Or like, I've got this really cool idea for doing like some, almost like a knitting lecture series where I talk about like the theory of knitting and like how everything works, like in a very theoretical, non-practical kind of point of view. But again, I'm like, I shouldn't bother starting on that until we're back from South Africa. Like, all these things, I'm like, I should wait till we're back from South Africa. So it's almost like, I feel like it's kind of like halting me. This whole trip to South Africa is like keeping me back.
I feel a bit like that too. So there was something I was going to say. I would like to buy some material.
Fabric. South Africa has nice fabric as well. And also, like, I think part of it is just being like, my mom's brand new to the UK and I'm like quite new to this area, and so I don't really know where to go to buy fabric. And it's, for some people, buying fabric online is great, but for me and I think my mom, we really like to see it in person, be able to feel it and see what the actual colour is like and everything. And so it's much nicer to go to actual fabric stores. And so obviously we know where all of those are in South Africa. But again, fabric's heavy.
Yeah, it is. It is.
At least yarn is quite light.
I'm thinking of yarn as well, but as I said, I need to tame that little knitter.
Oh, and I think the last thing I was gonna say is it's also, this whole trip is also impacting like my pattern progress. So like like 2 previous months I released new patterns, which I'm really happy about, but I've kind of stopped focusing on producing patterns and making patterns and whatever, because again I'm like, oh no, well there's no point in doing it now because I'm going away. And but
So I mean, the other thing that's newsworthy, I guess, is that we're having a combined 60th, my husband and I, while we're out there, because we'll be with all our friends and family and everything. So we've been quite excited about arranging that and having a theme of 1970s theme, because we kind of grew up in that era. So that's also been on my mind.
Yes, that's very exciting. And I actually have been working on making myself an outfit for that celebration, but it's like semi a surprise for my mom. Like, it's probably not going to land up being a surprise in the end, but like, I'm trying hard. Okay, I'm bad at surprises.
So, I saw the wool.
Yes,
So I'm like guessing in my head. It's quite fun.
So that's why I haven't shown it here or spoken about it much, because just, you've got 2 cats.
I do.
One over here and one just over there. So that was quite a long episode, but I think that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me.
It's a pleasure.
So thank you for joining us, especially if you made it all the way through to the end.
Well done.
Well done. And if you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing, and definitely any feedback, comments, questions, suggestions. We love hearing from you guys. Okay. Bye.
Bye.